based in Mecca. This workshop is going to be led by two experts in jewelry, and I'm sure you've seen that on the invite also. We have Ms. Hema Malani from Titan and Yukti Sachdeva. They're both working with the semi-precious and fashion jewelry of Titan. Not the fashion jewelry, the
100%
precious jewelry. Okay. But they do lead the trend and forecast services for Titan and Tiffany also. So as I'm sure all of us are aware, when we look at fashion trends, we always look at the higher end products, and that comes down into our day-to-day wear and into the fashion jewelry. So for instance, in the fashion jewelry, you always look at the precious segment, and then you take inspiration from that and create products for your fashion jewelry. So I hope this session is useful. I would really appreciate if everybody interacts during the session, because till you people ask the questions, they can't answer them. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll hand over the mic to Hema and to Yukti.
And we're representing DEC Trend Lab and EBCH Collaborative Fashion Trend Workshop for all of you. And just to give you an introduction of ourselves, we come from Titan, and we belong to the function called DEC, which is the Design Excellence Center. And we are the function of the company which gives design and trends for all businesses. So I'm sure you're aware that Titan is associated with watches, and Tanishq, which is jewelry. We've got other two jewelry brands called Zoya and Mia. Then we have eyewear, which is iPlus. We have bags, fragrances. So we have the whole gamut of lifestyle products and accessories for the Indian market. And as a part of DEC, we have something called the Trends, and both of us are a part of that same team. And we do conduct trend workshops for all our businesses. And this is a great honor and opportunity for us to conduct a workshop for all of you. So what we have today for you is some retail splits from the international markets. Then we have macro trends, material trends, and then we have a small wrap-up for all of you to participate in. And we want this to be an interactive exercise, as Vandana said. So it would be lovely if you can please be as involved as we've tried to make it as interactive as possible for you. So there's some post-its in front of you. So for all the macro trends or anything that you have, it will be lovely if you can just note down the keywords that resonate with you. So within the trend, when we're talking about it, you will come up with words with shapes, colors, anything or motifs that will think will associate with that trend. So put it down, and then we'll have a small exercise later on. Is that good? Great, lovely. So, so we have these 4 modules for you. So going ahead, we'll start first with the retail split. And since all of you are exporters, which means you are all targeting retail outlets eventually, your products are going there. So what is it in the retail that is making waves so far, which will actually give us a direction ahead on what materials or what categories or what motifs to use for the coming season? So the first that we're doing is the category split. So when I say the category split, it is of course evident that we're talking of jewelry categories like earrings, rings, etc. And if we see that, then earrings constitute the biggest pie of the chart. 38% in terms of the earrings is what has sold. Then the neckwear is 31%, followed by rings and then armwear. So earrings is definitely one of those key categories that people buy into, because it is one of the easiest categories to pair with the fashion that we are taking care of. At the end of the day, jewelry is accessorizing your clothing. So it's important that what kind of a clothing is being accessorized. And earrings, because they frame the face, they become an important accessory. So this is just to take you through what has sold over 4 seasons. So spring 2022, again we see that earrings take the cake in terms of the category, even in autumn, winter, and summer. And as the seasons change a little bit of a jump here and there in the categories is seen. So, though of course the major part is there, but you will see that in some places, for instance, the armwear and the rings have gone down from autumn, but they have increased back in summer because people have bare arms. I mean, the sleeves become shorter, and hence the opportunity to exercise the arms, wrists, hands becomes easy. Going ahead, I'm going to the metal. Now, metal normally in non-precious jewelry becomes in a lot of colors, but even then, the yellow metal takes precedence over the other colors. So, as we will see that going ahead, that even in different seasons, the trend for yellow metal continues. And as a trend going forward next year, the yellow is, especially in precious jewelry, is going to continue. Is that what we've seen? And as she said that, the precious jewelry trends tend to filter into non-precious. So we see that the yellow will still continue as a choice of color in metals. So of course there's white. Then there's a split between black and rose, not as much, but a wee bit of that still comes into play because people do need a little more than just white and yellow. So going to the material split, we have metal, crystals, pearl, glass, plastics, enamel, semi-precious stones, then 4 semi-precious stones and cord. These are some of the materials that we have seen in the retail market. So again, metal takes the maximum pie of the chart because metal is something that can be modulated in a lot of different ways. Everything else is adding to the metal because all these other materials need a substrate to work on. Again, coming to the analysis of the materials over the different seasons, we see that metals do take the maximum weightage. Then we have crystals, followed by plastic and enamel. And in between you will find, I'm giving you the top of the category here, but there are of course some parts of, let's say, glass or pearls that will come in from season to season. So depending on what season we are looking at, we will have other materials also playing a fair enough role. Because these are, let's say, the basics of creating the jewelry. Then coming to the, so we had given the larger piece as metals and other materials. So if I were to remove the metal, what is it that then gets divided? So crystals are the next biggest thing in creating jewelry, followed by glass, pearl, plastics, enamel, and semi-precious stones. Then there are other parts of that pie that we have, which can be right from 6 to 7% to down to 1%. But these are materials that we cannot ignore because these are the materials that can create differentiation. Then coming to the colors. Now colors is something that are a part of our lives. So life is not just about black and white or shades in between. So the white takes the maximum weightage here, but the other colors that we see in the split are blue, pink, green, and there are of course a number of different shades. So this is the color split that we've seen over a period of time. And a lot of this color split is also coming from the trends. So depending on what trend is in fashion, the color seems to sway in that direction. So the common ones will be of course white, blue, green and pink, but the weightage will change. So for instance, white gives you neutral background to work on. The other colors accentuate. So you will find some parts of white, but then the other color will be there as either an accent or even a bold, will have a bold presence. So for instance, if you see in the summer of 23, the green has gone up because people are going towards nature, they are tending towards that, and that is reflecting in what they are wearing. So the green is going up in comparison to, let's say, a pink or a blue.
Here we have earrings, and earrings are all different types. So many subcategories of earrings are there. So you've got hoops, studs, charm hoops, double drops, danglers, multi drops, fringe earrings, chandeliers, back to front, connected earrings, mobile hoops, ear cuffs, and statement studs. So this whole gamut of the various types of spread categories that we have can also be an interesting take forward when you're designing the different, let's say, the earrings. So for instance, the hoops are the biggest category because see in the retail market also, the maximum number of stacks that you will find will be for hoops, right from the smallest huggies to the largest statement hoops, because they kind of define the face better than a stud would be. So hoops is something that we find is trending and will continue to. Then neckwear again similarly. So the chain and pendant is one of the easiest ways to accessorize. Now chain and pendant can be layered. It can be combined with a necklace. It can just stand on its own. So depending on what kind of a necklace you're sporting, you can style it differently. Now this adds, the chain can add to a lot of different versions of multi-chains, beaded chains, necklaces, white chains, and it gives an opportunity to be combined together. So what I have seen is like when you go to retail stores, you will find combinations, a layered look, let's say a neck nest, which is already given by the manufacturer. Whereas you can also give them as sets, right? And that's what I guess you do. Yes. So the whole idea is that we definitely know that chains make an important part of the category. Coming to armwear, so beaded bracelets is one of the easiest ways to accessorize the wrist. And of course, adding charms to it or chains. Bangles might be a little more specific because it has to be slipped on unless it's an openable one. So it gives a little, there's a little less weightage there, but still is something that people would buy. Then there are toques, cuffs. So we've seen that a lot of cuffs are also gaining popularity, right from the narrow ones to the broad ones. But again, it gives you a slightly limited usage, but you can stack, if they're narrow cuffs, they can be stacked. If they're bracelets, it can be stacked with bracelets. So it gives an opportunity for the customer to then go into the rings. Again, stacking and layering is a trend that is very prevalent because it allows for more personalization and customization. And hence, if you see the thin band rings is something that sells the best because people can wear it in combination with what they've had previously. It just adds to that, or they can keep combining it as a personalized stack, because that kind of makes a statement for them as an individual. So we're looking at the categories, all of these categories from the consumer point of view as well. So we have thin bands, cocktail rings, mini rings, enamel, signet rings. Signet rings is actually coming in quite a bit because signet ring gives you that surface where people can actually play with. So if you can do something in that space, kind of help them personalize it, possibly give some, let's say, engravable space, or you give additional material along with the ring, and they could customize it, like, I don't know, stick-ons and stuff like that, rhinestones or crystal backs, stick-on crystal backs and all, so that the customer can customize it, because personalization as a trend is very prevalent, especially when people want to individualize their costume. How do they make it differentiated? Because let's say a Zara or a Mango across the world will have exactly the same piece, but how does a customer make it special to themselves? They want to personalize it, and that is where pieces like this can bring to one of the most important things of jewelry is the motive. So when I say motive or symbol, all of you would know what motifs and symbols are. So any one of the most popular motifs, I already have it here, the whole list, but The most popular motives for all of you all, which you probably work with the most, would be good if you can just note that down, and it might come in handy when you're doing it. Decorative motifs is the maximum. So when we say decorative, it can be anything like from scrolls to leaves. Leaves will of course come in nature, but anything which is more ornate, coming let's say from Rococo or from Art Deco, anything, but which is not, let's say, in a specified category or of love or nature or wellness or celestial elements. And you will see that some of the top ones are decorative because it is not very definitive and hence can be used without a purpose. Whereas if you say love, love is specific, and the moment you say love, you have certain kind of personalization. As I was saying, that personalization is something that people look for, and hence they kind of mix and match things. You might be giving them a set, but what if you can give them the freedom to make it as something that is gaining popularity? Then nature, as I said, from the same flow, people are looking at themselves as just not people who are working. A holistic wellness is coming into being, and that is again seen in the jewelry that we are making or buying. And celestial elements, of course, sun, moon and stars are a very common motive, but they continue to be. This is the split of the motives over the years. So spring, we saw that love was quite high. Then going down, the decorative elements became more, it took up the pie chart, and as we come to summer, we say that the nature aspect of the elements that are being used as motives has increased. If you have any questions in between, please do stop. The hearts are of course one of the most common symbols that you would associate with. So hearts take up 16% of the pie chart, and then the other is the geometric motives. These are again easy to translate. So we have then ornate motives. Then healing stones is something that is coming into play because people are looking at healing themselves, and the spiritual aspect or the healing aspect of the stones is something that is very personalized. So this is something that is coming again into play as a big material and color. So now I will hand you over for taking us through the macro trends. So up until now, if you have any questions, please do let me know.
And I'll be taking you through the macro trends. So the first, as you see, is remastering craft, which brings me to this really trend that's going on, the macro trend called cool craft. So the first macro trend is cool crafts. So as the name suggests, we definitely are looking into the traditional norms and craftsmanship altogether. And thanks to the recent awareness, especially amongst the Gen Zs, to know their tradition, cultures, etc., we are seeing that crafts is actually coming out as the heart of any aesthetic that they want to follow. And it's kind of like a testimony for them to imagine the nostalgic days, the old days, and bring it forth. So they want to kind of, reuse the old age applications in the form of the new and the future ones, using their current knowledge. So they don't want to keep the past to the past, they want to bring it to the present and make it past future. So, which brings me to this initiative taken by France. So they have unveiled the biggest program ever to support the local craftsmanships that they have there, and the artisans that are there, and they're educating the upcoming generations about it. So it's a very funny poster that they had when they launched. That guy is literally crafting the shoe all in a very traditional manner, and they've shown Gen Zs and Gen X there, Gen Zs there, and they're talking like, you mean you don't do 3D printing? Because they're not aware of what their heritage holds. So this initiative is being brought by them to kind of make them understand that, listen, you can take techniques of the past and mold it into the future in the way that you want to. It doesn't have to always be futuristic. So, which also back home, we are seeing made in hand is something that is coming out very largely. As I just mentioned, that specifically the Gen Zs want to know about their cultures, their traditions, their past, everything. They're kind of molding into abandoning the digital landscapes that they previously had for themselves, and they want to move into physicality. Like Hema also mentioned how post-COVID we wanted to just get out and be in the nature or be travel and all of that. So that mindset are articulated and moved into a space where they want to do not just indulge in the digital landscapes or the the kind of reels or the other artificial norms that they are into, but they want to make it into the physical world. They want to experience everything. So they want to learn, they want to reimagine crafts, they want to bring in the aspect of their own tradition, religion, everything into today's world. So made in hand or make in India that we all know is happening. Is something that they're really looking forward to. They want to kind of contribute it to as much as they can, which of course is deriving the biggest trend of nostalgia. And one of the very recent and good examples here was the Dior show in Mumbai that we had. So this entry gate that was there in the show was actually a representation of the very old craft called Toran making. But if you see closely, you would realize that these are not entirely traditional motifs. They were very new, they were calligraphic in every sense. There was an essence of modernity to them. So kind of enfolding the crafts that we have and moving it into a much more modernized, contemporary manner was the show. And this gate was talk of the show all throughout. Every article, everything you would read, you would find this. So this was like a major, thing in that event, which kind of symbolizes the fact that I'm just talking about how we want to indulge into crafts and bring it forth in every aspect that we do. So which brings me to a micro trend in cool crafts, which is called remastered. So like I was saying, how nostalgia has hit up with everyone. It is an ongoing trend, especially during COVID. It took a spike and then it has been going and it's culminating into different things. But nostalgia as a sense, as a sentiment, has been very intact. Which brings me to the fact that people are looking for vintage things. They're looking for repurposed things. They're looking to repurpose things. They're looking to second-hand, hand-me-downs, all of those. But now it's not just about taking those things and keeping it as a keepsake, but it is also about molding them into a new life, giving them a second life, giving them a new contemporary touch for themselves. So all these boom in the resale platforms of vintage things. We want the Chanel looking earrings, or we want the Casio watch and whatever it is. So all of that is just coming in front because of that. So for them, the keepsake is not just like I had a hand-me-down and I'm keeping it, but for people now, it is like giving a second life to it and kind of making it their own. So remastering in terms of jewelry, we see that a lot of these designs, the good old days designs, are coming back. From the pendant on your right, you can see how that crystals, that beads and everything kind of remind you of the old world charm that we have seen. Even the earring on the left. So a lot of studs like that. Like there is a very nice twist to these classic jewelry designs, and there's a modern twist to them. So definitely it's exuding both nostalgia and a fresh edge. Which brings me to my second macro trend, which is love all around. We just heard that hearts have been having the pie of the chart. So talking about it, the macro trend that is resonating with it is selfhood. So love is not about boy and girl or girl and girl or whatever it is. It is more to do with selfhood, and not only it is about talking in general aspect of love, but it is also about selfhood. It is about being comfortable with who you are, being comfortable with your identity, being aware of it and not being afraid of it, so to put it. So all these the moods and the joys and everything that you get from this one word love is now being expressed fully. And selfhood is not only about self-affection or self-love, but it is also about keeping that sacred, but at the same point in time affecting translating that affection to other people as well. So which brings me to this really cool study that the ancient Greeks have, which is about meet the different types of loves. So we generally have one or two types of love, but they had this huge list called philotia or luris or eros, which are basically self-love, playful love, romantic love, friendship, universal love, parent and child love, of course, and duty and reason love. So they have categorized love in these formats. And but what it means in terms of jewelry is, of course, we see a lot of hearts trending. Hearts are the hearts right now, but we see the application of them really differently. You can see that it kind of gives that mechanical clasp look right above their left on the left hand side. top corner, and we are seeing a lot of layering, like the ascending layering of hearts happening in a very thin metal. Similarly, they are being inculminated into gold chains, or we have these charm bracelets where you have these small quotes like I love you, or I love myself, or I will be missed, or whatever it is. So, stuff like this. So the whole world of this particular selfhood is kind of intertwined with these heart themed things. But what's interesting, of course, love is not only about heart, but in terms of selling and everything, hearts is something that portrays the language much more easily. So, like for this video, this particular video that you are seeing, the story behind that earring is not just love, it is actually about her love for traveling. So she associates those hearts that she wears, and she mostly wears it a lot whenever she is traveling to a new country, because for her it's the essence of her traveling and her travel love. So, articulating love in different formats is also something that people are doing, which brings me to an interesting question for all of you. So, what kind of love do you think will resonate with your clientele of the countries that you're supplying to or catering to? So, anything?
You could just write it down,
Or if you want to speak, you can speak, whichever way.
any form of love that you think, because we just showed you that spread your design language of the love into these different kinds of loves and tell a story about it. So there's anything that resonates with you,
Like suppose it's about religion.
right?
Other than this, so like if I have love for my guru or
Yes.
for my God, or like the ladies have, like they worship. So maybe worship, love, and
It could be another aspect. It could be another, that could be the third one, or eighth one, not the third one, eighth one. Or the first, whatever whichever direction you take it in.
so I just thought, and I was also wondering, like, means most of the people might be people who are designing jewelry. So we have different country flags, right?
Right.
Now we have this G20, so we say, now nobody's I think thought of a flag in an earring or in an armlet. So maybe
Love
that
for the
would-
country, so we move forward. So any questions from the two trends that we just showed you, the remastered and the cool craft and love?
Can you please use your mic?
Sure.
I was just asking, do you have any questions for the last two trends that we showed you? Cool craft and love. I'll ask you a question then. So in cool craft, do you think any crafts that India is rich in crafts, and all of you know that. So any craft that we can actually translate into jewelry, fashion jewelry, so that at least people know about our crafts. We may not necessarily be doing it, it would be sad not to do it to its original form, but if we can translate it and get it to the world, to let them know that India has such a rich craft culture. Like Dior came all the way to Mumbai, and they have an atelier here where all the embroidery is done. So in fact, India boasts of ateliers which work for all the couture houses. So why not take the fashion jewelry which people, the common people across the world will buy, and introduce them to our crafts? Any crafts that you can think of, and something not very expensive.
Yeah, not very expensive also.
You will give the craftsmen.
It is colorful, it is very sharp. I mean, it's nice. I think it could be a nice idea.
Okay, you have one idea already in front of you. Anyone else?
The traditional footwear what we had.
Yeah. Otherwise, it is the same for everyone, anyone doing it. China would be doing the same thing. But what is the differentiation that we are bringing to the world? And hence creating a niche for ourselves. So something that came to my mind from what Sir said was Chennapatna toys. I'm sure you've heard of that. So Chennapatna is a craft from the south, which is they use wood, lathe it, and make different toys and materials out of it. In fact, one designer has actually taken it to the next level, and he created a very beautiful chair. So that went into the luxury sector, but the Chennapatna craft in itself can be translated into small pieces of jewelry. You could do bangles. They're already doing bangles, not they're not doing it, but it is how can it be maximized. So that's another way of doing it. So a lot of different crafts can actually be inculcated into the jewelry pieces as well that you all do. So
Another thing I wanted to, I remember Titan possibly ages back had got pendants with, there was a clock movement inside, the ladies were wearing that. It was at the jewellery, you could buy at Tribundas or somewhere. So this could be also like nobody is nowadays wearing watches, we've wrist watches because mobiles have come in, the smart watches. So maybe our traditional, stuff, it's translated into some sort of jewelry.
definitely. And people want differentiation, and how do we do it? That's the whole idea. So, should we go ahead?
Macro trend where we see pleasure dome, so to label it, coming in. So consumers now, especially because they have saved so much during COVID, and they want to spend it now. So they are indulging into, they're kind of breaking their confined things, monotonous life, all of those things, and going into exploring things, playing out, playing more, going into rave, going to party. All of that is happening, and this is like in a culmination of the trend that we also called revenge party, which took up right after we were out of a lockdown. All those bling stuffs and all of those things were there, and now it is culminated into a more meaningful sense, in the sense that they want to go and have fun even in the monotonous days, not only on weekends but every day. So they want to explore themselves, they want to defy the only version that we see of life, and they want to just go out, have fun, play a lot, all of those things, and bring in the colorful aspect, vibrant aspect of joy into their lives. And this is actually aggravated, especially by the Gen Zs, because Gen Zs now, they are able to spend, they are able to hold on to their finances, which they were not able to do before. Their parents were doing it for them. So now that they are able to do that, and this generation is financially very stable and very, not to say stable, but in terms of managing their finances a little better. So they just want to, they have saved so much during that particular pandemic time that they now want to spend it on leisure activities, such as holidays, restaurant visits, and exploring everything out there. So in terms of jewelry, it definitely means bringing in some very vibrant, cool colors, designs, playing with different type of beads, having enamels on the hoops, or layering and asymmetrical necklaces, all of those things. So, kind of creating a vibrant and playful atmosphere in the world of accessories. So, just a question. We all are fond of fun. I mean, I don't think anyone here is not fond of fun. Everyone is. I know that it's a weekend, but still, this will be fun, I promise. So, what playfulness do you associate with? When I say the word playfulness, what comes to your mind? What is that first word or first feeling that you resonate with? Sorry?
Dog. My dog. Yeah.
So pets.
Yeah.
Pets. Anyone else?
So there's pet love also.
Yeah. Pet love.
Mixed match.
Yeah, nice.
Colorful.
Anything else?
Childhood.
Sorry?
Childhood.
Childhood.
Oh yeah, that means a lot of things.
Travel back to your,
Yeah, back to the time.
back to the time.
Nostalgia also. Anything else?
Playing with cards, playing with anything that is related to school. Like getting back.
Anyone else?
You can even, if you're shy of telling us, you can
You
note it
can
down.
note it down and we'll save in the end. Okay.
Travel, parties.
I mean, there are a lot of youngsters there who are not saying parties, so I cannot definitely say that you're shying away. I mean, I am also young and I'm saying parties are fun. Come on.
Shopping.
Yeah. See, anything else? Cool, then I think I'll move ahead. So the last macro trend that we're looking at is playing play. So this is an interesting one actually. So this brings me to the concept of angular shape play, which is geometrics, and we also saw in that retail split that a lot of geometric patterns are trending. But why is that so? So there is a general, not there's a study that talks about how human beings, as human beings, we are kind of fascinated with patterns, dots, and the continuation of geometric space. And now we are seeing that it is articulating in people's mindset in the terms that they feel very satisfactory when they see something like a rigorous pattern or a striped line or something like that. It gives them an opportunity to kind of dwell into those forms and just get lost into the world that is much more less chaotic as compared to the chaotic world we live in. So which is actually driven by the fact, like I just mentioned, the geometric forms actually exclude a lot of minimalist refinements, and those satisfactory things that they make, or the patterns, they kind of give them a sense of not only satisfaction but calm, and they are resonated with in terms that we already live in such a chaotic and upside down world. So that those fine lines, those making of those patterns, making of those dots, or culminating different types of geometric shapes into one is something that just calms them down. So what does it mean in terms of jewelry is that we see a lot of angular shape play coming in, a lot of different types of shapes, octagons or circles or whatever it is, and taking it into and creating into like a visually appealed aesthetic, not the monotonous way or the black and white world or nothing like that. Colorful, but at the same point of time, making it much more appealing, much more satisfactory, something that you can just be fond of, just be satisfied of. So it is kind of this particular trend is kind of becoming a canvas to the bold and modern designs and those symmetrical designs at the same point of time. So before I end this, I have a question for you all. What kind of geometric shape or patterns resonates with you or satisfies you? Like we all doodle at times when we are zoned out or we don't want to listen to something or whatever it is. We have a tendency, maximum of us have a tendency to sketch up. Yeah, circles. Anyone else?
Give us a lot of surface area to work with. Also, it could be just a flat piece of metal, and you could play around with it. Let's say with color, with engravings, with adding more material to it. Then origami, I'm sure all of you heard. It's all about play. And it gives a lot of satisfaction when you're actually working and making an origami piece. So things like that are actually coming in. So where you can actually work with your hands and give yourself a different world to be in. So this was what it was all about. So we'll move on to our next topic of the day, which is the material trends.
But before I do that, do we have any questions regarding these trends?
Just one basic question. I'm Pankaj Arora. I take care of Indian operations of Israel-based conglomerate named Extra Retail. So we are into home textiles, homeware, garment and jewelry. Jewelry, we are a new entrant. We only few months back, end of 2022, we bought a chain called as Magnolia. Magnolia has 80 stores in Israel and 10 in Portugal. And now we want to open obviously more stores in Israel and then spread into the Europe also. In the old ownership, they were buying only from Thailand, the fashion jewelry. But now they want to change the sourcing base to India also. And after fashion jewelry, they want to move into jewelry also. First target is gold and then second is that. My basic question is, all these trends, are they applicable only to Indian market or are they sort of universal?
So the trends that you're seeing today are not for the Indian market specifically, they're global. And also the target, I understood was that all of you are exporters. See, at the end of the day, you're not actually targeting the Indian consumer, so it will filter down back here. That's a different story. But so these are all global trends, and these are trends that we've mapped from across the, let's say, the world of jewelry in the fashion space. So this is not limited, this is not for India per se, this is global. Most welcome.
Any other questions? Anything else?
I was just
Prematurely seen in terms of footwears, where you would have, it is right now also seen, you would have different quotes written on the footwear. I owned one which said game over. A lot of my friends have different types of footwears. But now we are seeing that it is not only limited to that category, it is exploring. People have chains, people have earrings also. And outside, if you talk about not within India but outside, it is an aesthetic that is going on. And if you would have followed the Barbie core thing, you would have seen a lot of pink coming in. But if you would have noticed the accessories, they had Barbie written, they had flamingos, they had whatnot. So implementation of things that give you happiness, displaying things are being articulated in form of jewelry as well. So yeah, we do see them happening. So to answer your question.
So my actually thought was not of the jewelry. It's for people wearing those shirts, Calvin Klein, Tommy something something, you know.
Yes, so that is
the Indian brand I haven't seen, and like I'm into journalism. So I just we're talking to a friend. We were sitting in a movie, and I said, "What is this Tommy you're wearing?" And he says, "Tommy Kutta." So I'm just thinking, with anybody, any fashion designer, any jewelry designer, possibly could take that to this level, where we have, you know, anything means कोई भी brand. अब Indian tailor का वो पीछे होता था, ये tailors का इनका front में आ गया है.
Because they're branding it and everyone's wearing it.
Yeah, no, but this is, are we away from our cultures? Means, you know.
No, so there is one very interesting brand by a duo of designers. It's called Smith. It's a silver jewelry brand. So I think you've heard of it. Is it? Yeah. So they do some very interesting jewelry in silver, and they articulate it in words. So it could be anything. I mean, you name it and they will have it. And it could be just one word, it could be an entire sentence, and they haven't restricted themselves in terms of categories. They've made brooch pins, they've made earrings, they've made necklaces, rings, bracelets. And when you were talking about the Jai Shri Ram and all, if you remember, I mean, they're still popular, the bracelets, where there are quotes written. And coming to the quote bit, there's something called affirmations. A lot of the people are looking at affirmations as a part of worded jewelry. So affirmations like faith, hope, belief, and in love, as she was telling you, I miss me, I love myself, etc. These kind of quotes can also be used. I mean, just not in, let's say, any kind, in one particular trend, but as a common this thing in different trends. It can be part of, let's say, love. It could be a part of pleasure, travel, playfulness, depending on what you are targeting or what is the trend that you are trying to translate. So those affirmations, words can be translated into playful things or hopeful things. So it's really up to you. The question is, what is the gamut of trends that you're taking into your stores? So I hope
Just to add to that, I'll tell you something is, apart from Quirksmith, we have brands like Alik and all, they also deal with silver jewelry. And they also have these kind of jewelries, you know, you'll have rings saying Nakre Wali and stuff like that. So it's not like people are not purchasing it or it's not out there, it's definitely. And to answer to your t-shirt question, where if you see someone wearing like that, we have a lot of Indian startups, so to say. One of them currently really booming is called Dishcount, if I'm not mistaken. You can see the word itself is very quirky. But their t-shirts are like that. You would see different prints. And even if you look at global brands like H&M, they come out with collaborations now and then. So they also have these, you know, pick-up-its t-shirts or something or the other written on the back. So this whole trend of putting what you want to say or whatever it is out there is not restricted to just a specific kind of category. It's slowly and steadily moving ahead. So you would see not religious stuff, but yeah, in terms of this, a lot of quirky things coming out. Anyone else? Buying and purchasing, you know, powers. And that's not only restricted to them, because it's like what they see, they pass on, and it's become like a chain. So all the buying powers are being affected by the social media trends that you see. So it's not only essential to be on ground and famous and do your marketing like that, but it is also very important to brand yourself on social medias, have your pages, post content, start out. You should be able to do that. That doesn't mean that you have to be on social media 24/7. It's just mean that you have to be very regular with it so that you gain the attention of the people using it. And they do, kind of influence you. If I, for example, go, I know about this brand only because I was on social media and I would see people wearing it. So I was curious to know what is this brand which is, selling stuff like that. And I just articulated, like, for example, I'll tell you a brand. It is a very local brand by a girl I know, and she sells silver jewelry. Her jewelry is one of a kind. It has that antique touch and all of those things. And she started off, she was really afraid of it, but she started regularly posting on social media, and through that she got her followings and everything, and slowly and steadily her business actually boomed a lot because all the pieces that she was showing or whatever it is, marketing, a lot of them were actually not even purchased by anyone on her site but through DMs. So I have seen a lot of startups like that grow up. Because I myself am a big huge jewelry person, especially silver. So for me, I follow a lot of brands and I've seen them grow in a very short period of time. So I'm not saying that the only factor for their growth is social media, but definitely they get more orders on social media than they get on their e-commerce websites. So yeah, social media in terms of India doesn't have TikTok, we all know it's banned, but Instagram in India is really on top for anyone to promote their stuff. And talking globally, TikTok and then Instagram. That is the division that recent market study also did.
Just adding to to your question, is also the peers get affected by what one person is buying. So again, that social media influence is so huge because it becomes the word of mouth that sells. And then the circle becomes larger and larger, the 6 degree of separation, and that just adds to it.
Anyone else? Anything?
I think the session till here, has been very interesting. But we just need your support with one thing. To be very true, like, I'm not a fashion designer. I'm only good at marketing. So थोड़ा सा ये idea दीजिए कि हम लोग क्या बनाएं, what is the future ahead? Past ठीक है, हम लोगों ने देख लिया, everything has been very interesting. Where exactly we can use this in future? That's what we want.
So the trends that Yukti presented are for the future. So when the trends that we presented are something that you can take the stories out of and
doing it.
सर जैसे मैंने बताया था जो स्प्लिट्स दिखाए थे आपको, तो इसीलिए दिखाए थे कि कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो हमेशा के लिए रहती हैं. इट इज़ नॉट समथिंग दैट इज इट्स अ नो ब्रेनर. सो कुछ जैसे आप लोग कह रहे हैं कि 2 साल पहले हम यही कर रहे थे, अभी भी यही कर रहे हैं, पर हम उसको कैसे डिफरेंट करें, दैट इज़ द होल आइडिया. आप हार्ट्स पहले भी कर रहे थे, 10 साल पहले भी, आज भी कर रहे हैं, और 10 साल बाद तक भी करते रहेंगे आप हार्ट्स. और हार्ट्स को आप कैसे डिफ्रेंशिएट करेंगे इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू थिंक. सो फॉर इंस्टेंस वो हार्ट्स में वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट लव, 7 different kinds of love. Now the question is, how do you sell those 7 different kinds of love? So if you make a heart and give it, the interpretation from the consumer will be for what they see. Now if you want them to see it differently, you have to articulate it in your product. So if I'm saying there is a playful love, आप उसमें भी हार्ट बना सकते हैं, पर आप उसको क्वर्की हार्ट बना सकते हैं. इंस्टेड ऑफ मेकिंग अ वेरी रोमांटिक रेड कलर्ड हार्ट, आप उसको टी शेप कर सकते हैं, आप उसके अंदर दूसरा कलर भर सकते हैं. जस्ट एज अ साइड स्टेप, देयर इज दिस I don't remember the brand here, but there is something physical we are talking about love in the physical space. During the pandemic, it all Bumble and Tinders of the world, you have virtual dates and all. But now people want to bring the love to the physical space. So there's a brand in UK, they've come up with a ring, which is a green ring that people wear. So instead of going to virtual, let's say a platform to find love, they wear that ring and they're out in what, clubs, pubs, etc. And when there's somebody who sees the green ring, it means they're available. Now that is also love, and you're moving from the digital space to the physical space. So these are things that can be done. So you bring up these kind of ideas, innovations, and you have a different love which you can sell.
Ma'am, actually, मेरा question है, I'm a designer, I'm from marketing also. तो problem ये आती है कि हमें बाहर client अपना trends देते हैं और आपने भी जो दिखाया है is usually Chinese. Metal you are using, it's from China. The rings, not from India. Basically, आप हमें India में क्या कर सकते हैं? Because China is giving very competitive price.
80% of metal is being exported. It's not correct. India doesn't do a metal at all.
I am not saying exported, sir. What I am saying is what is selling.
But you should tell us
For the, yes,
for India what we can do. For India what we can do.
we can
What are raw materials? I mean, what exactly can be done?
What is going to be in fashion, what is going to be the future, and how do we look at that and then work forward. So for instance, their first story was on taking heritage forward, and that's a very big trend. Whatever is old, how can we reinvent that? How can we make it current? How can we make it contemporary and use it? A lot of things that are happening around that is people want to take, for instance, their old pieces and then create something new out of them. Now what can we do? Can we give them a new string which they could put in their old pendants? Can we macrame it? Can we bead it? Because what things get spoiled. So I think we have to look at what is happening in the trends and then try to move around that. Every time just looking at what is moving forward and how can we get with that. So DIY is a trend. People want to do things themselves. So they may buy a heart, then they want to put a string themselves. So can we give 6 hearts together and then different types of strings and then build a story around that, and how could you use it in a bracelet or how could you put it around your neck? Because people want to feel that they have created their own products. These are some of the things that are happening in the world. How are we going to integrate ourselves into that? I think that is something for us to kind of understand. Repurposing our old pieces. A lot of young people don't want to throw away. It was only earlier an older generation which didn't want to throw away their old things. But now younger people also want to look at old and then repurpose it. So of course we can create new product which looks like repurposed jewelry or upcycled products, but also give them maybe jewelry in 3 parts which they can combine and make it themselves, and that can sell as a necklace or as a bracelet or as a ring. So when we read these trends, it's not necessarily only to say that we are going to copy this or that or whatever, but look at how within my own capabilities. Ultimately, I'm not going to change my factory every season when the trends come in, but how do I read those and then create something of my own? One of the big themes that we looked at, at the Maison, if some of you followed the trend, the title of that was Enjoy. Now what does enjoy mean? Enjoy is really, it's like an awakening. People have had the COVID, people have had all the trauma, people have had financial issues because of that, they had personal losses, and now we want to look at the world and enjoy. How are we going to enjoy? We are going to enjoy by being more colorful, maybe add more glitter in our lives. If we look at it in terms of fashion, we are going to try to make more playful overtures. We are going to add art into our lives. So these are the ways we create the difference. Now that doesn't mean that it's telling you that, okay, go and paint this on your jewelry. But when they've shown you a square piece on a square piece on a square piece, it's coming from handcrafting. And a lot of things that was happening in, sorry Hema, I'm just taking this over, but just want to add this. Stickers straight on it, or you could make crisscross on it, or you could put a circle in the center, and then that person kind of owns that jewelry because he has created that piece himself, and today he may put it like this. So sometimes creating those ideas and telling those stories. And again, I will say this thing which is very important. and some of people who are sitting here have worked with me in the past with this, taking our Indian heritage forward, which no one else in the world can compete with. So our ability to do braiding, our ability to use beadwork, our ability to use the dozis, we will have to compete in a segment which nobody else in the world can compete with. And that is the creation of products by hand, which only our own artisans can create. And then we don't have to create tens and 20,000 pieces and 100,000 pieces. We can create smaller quantities but unique pieces which we are not competing with anyone else in the world. Of course, all other categories stay, but that is a big trend. Nostalgia is a big trend, heritage is a big trend, and we should cash on that right now, whether it's in garments or in jewelry or in product.
Just to add to you, ma'am, sir, to answer your question, what we can do for India, I'll tell you what, there's a recent study, market study, so to say, consumer insight, Pan-Asian and India. And the population currently, especially the young segment that you really want to target to, if you want to, is looking for traditional craft in every contemporary manner. This trend just doesn't hold to nostalgia. Yes, nostalgia is a part of it, vintage is a part of it. How you do it is something that you have to come up with. We can show you inspirations for sure. And just to come back to that study, it stated that apart from work-life balance and stuff like that, be it Pan-Asian consumer or India as such, they are really looking to find their roots. They really want to learn about their traditions and crafts. The kind of boom that we have seen in the craft sector in the recent years was definitely not when I was a kid or when I was in my teenage. And so to say, the study was really interesting because both, be it let me just talk about the Pan-Asian one, they are so much into knowing their traditional crafts and roots, and like how Vandana ma'am just said that, how you implement it, the handcrafted part of it, the handmade in India part of it has to be highlighted. And this is something that they're seeing, and that this is not coming just because it is in trend. It is a mindset that has accumulated. And even India young people are looking forward to it. They just don't want to, they want to understand in every possible way. If they don't have the resource to know about a craft or a tradition that they used to have, they want to have sources that they can resonate with. I have seen a lot of Bagru print, done on silver jewelry. I have seen a lot of Madhubani, like you were talking. I have seen that being done in silver jewelry. I have also, apart from that, even in a normal, I own one piece of jewelry which has ikat in it. So it's up to you how you market your own crafts, your own traditions in a way that people resonate with. You will always have something that is always a trend. But you kind of have to see, like Hema said, you kind of have to mold those things into what is going on and create something out of it. That's how you catch on things. Marketing is a two-way gimmick. I understand that, but it's like just to give you that point of what to do in India, this is the current consumer mindset. And it is actually not on, and I'm not saying this by one reference, this is WGSN, From Your Vision, this is even Trend Bible. You can go on to Asian Trend Resort for that. You can also go on India Today and read about it. It is there. You Google it and it'll come. I can bet you.
I'm just asking about the global. We are export and export.
Yeah. So no, I was just answering the question when you said what can we do in India. So that is what I'm trying to say. It's not only about global, but globally also. This mindset of remastering, going back into your days, leveraging your traditions and crafts is something that people are looking forward to. It's not like
I think we can move on to the materials.
I just wanted to add one more thing. With the trend going on, and like ma'am said that every piece can be an individual thing. These days NFTs are so much in, you could always put an NFT on it and then you could gain from that also. That's also another added advantage of being digital.
And the Gen Z, so to say, the digital age generation.
They are into it, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. So now we'll move forward to some of the material trends that we've seen. You are using all of these materials, But these are the things that we see are going to be leveraging coming ahead in the years.
You can see it's being paired with different things. It has a very nice modern touch to it, and even if it's like strong in one another. So a lot of beads that we see as a material coming forth.
So just as an example, here you see this bracelet. It has a very traditional motive, so to say, a cultural motive, handmade, as Vannaji was saying, and so you're bringing that motive to the people. So it will be very relevant from a specific country, and how you can market it is up to you. But you see the usage of beads. You've been using it. I'm sure you've used it in all different ways. But this is something that this is creating a craft. And if you remember the Toran from Dior, Toran is Indian, but Dior is using it. The moment, let's say, Dior uses it, it becomes global. So the same thing can happen from here to there.
So the next material that we see, of course, are fabrics and threads. So waste fabrics and all of these things can be a form of this particular material trend. So you can see the placements of these fabrics are really interesting. Like on the hoop, they've tied a bow, or around the hoop, or everything is just made out of that organza fabric you get into multicolors. And you see these bangles, they have the block prints and all of those around them. So yeah, fabrics and threads is something that is being seen a lot. People are playing with it, be it just putting it inside the hoop or whatever, in whichever way, or tying it up around it, or even on a stud. So yeah. So the next one is non-precious stones, the artificial stones or the plastic ones, as you said. But what we are seeing here is that it is not just a one stone in the pendant. It is more like divulging itself into that Pinterest aesthetic of stones and precious jewelry and all of that. Like you see that gold chain with the stone, or the sanding stones, or the stud with just a bit of metal and the stone beneath it, or these bracelets. So these are kind of aggravating themselves into a much more reformed aesthetics, and not just, they don't look local, they give you that precious sense. Although they're artificial stones, but the look and the way they are being created, they're giving you that precious sense and aesthetic to it.
So it becomes more aspirational than just fake jewelry.
Yeah. The next one we have is glassy appeal. So glass is something that is actually trending a lot, and we see it taking form in different sizes, like that donut shape, or that asymmetrical size, or the double balls on the hands, and that crystal balls. And so to say, this particular asymmetric one is actually booming because of the whole Pinterest aesthetics of asymmetrical mirrors and vintage things and all. So this particular form we are seeing a lot, especially in glass. So basically this also has been divulging into different arenas of how you can make it, be it in any form of shape or size or whatever.
The glass can again be treated differently. Right from the transparent, you can reduce the transparency, you can frost it. There are lots of applications that can happen.
Last but not the least, pearls. Pearls have always been there in the market. They are the staples. But what we are seeing in pearls now is, and especially in the recent New York Fashion Week show also, you would see the return of pearls a lot. And not just New York Fashion Show, all your Met Galas, your Cannes, all your award shows, even Indian award shows, pearls have literally having the moment. They are in the spotlight. But what we are seeing is they are not just remaining to studs or the basic forms and everything. They are gravitating more towards a sophisticated form, more towards a precious jewelry form, more towards where it's looking high-end, it's looking precious, but at the same time it's affordable. So the essence of the whole trend of quite luxury, premiumization and all of that is something that is being defined by pearls right now. Even the current Fashion Week, if you see, a lot of designers have experimented with it. If you remember that first image of our opening page, it was a pearl top, which is by H&M, which is recent. So pearls are literally having a moment, and they are being articulated in gold chains. They are being infused with gold beads, giving them a very nice modern contemporary look apart from the classics. And that brings us to the end of our workshop. Thank you.
Not the workshop, the presentation.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. The presentation.
You have written down the key words that you associated with the trends, and if you have, we would request you to put it on the board. So we will see what are the trends that are emerging for all of you all. And it could be just not the trend, it could be a material that you associate with, or it could be a sketch that you associated with. So it'd be lovely if you could put that. You want to? Sure, no.
Spaces within the country, within our export houses, within our production houses, with our artisans. It's very important for us to tell this story to the buyers. I think we are very poor at telling stories. Like, I'll give you an example. I've traveled to many places in the world, and I was at a conference once, and this lady went up, and she was giving like the opening remarks, and she started talking about, she was a knitter, and she was talking about how she learned knitting. And she started by saying, when I was a young girl, my grandmother used to knit, and she would knit these scarves, and she would knit these jumpers, and I learned all my knitting at her, watching her. And I was sitting in the audience, and I was thinking, everybody's grandmother knits in India. Who's talking about it? None of us talk about the fact that every woman of maybe not, of my generation or a generation before had done some form of knitting or the other. But we just don't celebrate that. We don't tell these stories to people. I mean, imagine the fact of putting those pin tucks or doing that little bit of embroidery or putting those beads on a piece of cloth. Nobody else has that type of skill. But we don't celebrate it. We don't make a song and dance about it to our buyers. And I think we have to do that. We have to tell the stories behind the cultural significance of these things. We have to tell the story of the hard work that goes into it. And one of the best examples of a storyteller is, I don't know how many of you follow Sabyasachi, and he's my favorite example for this. But if you look at what he talks about, everything he does, he tells it as a story. And he can, I always tell him, you can sell, dust off a pavement to a buyer, because he'll make such a big story out of it that that person is saying, let me get it before it goes, as if it's gold dust, And recently he's done a project for Disney where he has used beads to embroider the Mickey Mouse. And if I can get if I can get it on a computer, I'll show it to you. What a big story he's making out of it, as if it's the first time beads have been used to embroider in this country. But the story he tells is more important than that Mickey Mouse that he's made. And that is integral to our marketing tactics. We just have to learn to do that.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. And पता नहीं कहीं सोच रहे होंगे ये बंदा बोला ही नहीं अभी तक कुछ नहीं। हाँ जी। क्योंकि अगर हमारी आप थोड़ी सी हिस्ट्री सुनोगे कि हम कहाँ से आए हैं, कहाँ से नहीं आए। हम बड़ी छोटी सी जगह में आए हैं जहाँ पे एक गांव था, है अभी भी कुरुक्षेत्र। एक मड हाउसेज में हम रहे। ठीक है, हमारे पेरेंट्स ने हमें अच्छी एजुकेशन दी, मगर उसके साथ काम बिल्कुल करते रहे। जब दिल्ली में आए, चिंटू जी हैं, जैसे ये सारे बड़े नीचे से ऊपर आए हुए हैं। आई केम हियर इन 80s, ग्रेजुएशन के बाद सर्विसेज की या कई चीज़ें की। कई बार लक होता है, उस समय जो मेन मार्केट होती थी ज्वेलरी की, अगर आप जाएं तो एक दैट वाज तुर्कमान गेट, एक मंडी थी, और हम लोग उस मंडी के निकले हुए आदमी हैं। आज भी जाते हैं, और आप गरीबा जाएं तो आपको एक ट्रेंड पता चलता है। और मुझे एक जर्मनी के अंदर इंपोर्टर मिले थे, नाउ ही इज नो मोर, एंड आई आस्क्ड हिम कि भाई हम लोग अनपढ़ हैं, इसके अंदर बिल्कुल नए, हमें कुछ नहीं पता, ये ज्वेलरी है आपका, ये स्कार्फ या गारमेंट चलता है, कहता अब देखो मैं भी अनपढ़ हूँ, आई एम ए डॉक्टर, मगर डॉक्टरी छोड़ दी है, इसकी दुकान खोल ली है, मगर मुझे किसी जो यहाँ पे यूरोप में या अमेरिका में पहले जो कलर स्कीम या फैशन जो भी आते हैं दैट इज कमिंग फ्रॉम यूएसए, फिर उसको यूरोप फॉलो करता है, फिर उसके बाद ये चाइना में कॉपी होते हैं। हम तो पता नहीं 7वें 8वें स्थान पे जो हमारा नंबर आता है इंडियंस का, तो कहता है मोटी मोटी बात ये बेटा, एक तो ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट, मर जाओगे, ये चलता रहेगा अगर तुमने कोई कलर या स्कीम या कुछ भी नहीं फॉलो करना, दैट यू हैव टू फॉलो। ओके, दैट वाज अ डिफरेंट टाइम। आज थोड़ा सा वक्त अलग हो गया, जैसे मैम ने बोला कि ठीक है हर एक चीज की अपनी एक कुछ लिखा जाता है, मगर आज कितने हमारे बच्चे हैं वो नाना नानी के जाते हैं या मामा के जाते हैं छुट्टियों के अंदर, नहीं वो तो एक कमरे में बैठे हुए हैं, उनको उसके साथ लगे रहते हैं, उनसे कुछ कह दो भाई दो देश कहते हैं, नो, तो वी डोंट हैव ए टाइम। अपने आप जो बिल्कुल चीजें सारी चेंज हो चुकी हैं, नो डाउट, मगर आज भी ट्रेंड चलता है, कलर स्कीम चलती है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, डिजाइन चलते हैं और ये चलते रहेंगे। मगर मेरी आपसे जैसे जितने भी यंग हैं, तो आप हफ्ते में एक या महीने में एक आधा दिन चाहे आप तुर्कमान गेट जाएं या जामा मस्जिद जाएं, यू मस्ट सी कि होता क्या है। आप शादियों में क्या करते हैं, डिजाइनर्स को हायर करते हैं, ओके ठीक है तुम शादी के लिए क्या बनाए हो, दे स्पीक ए वेरी गुड इंग्लिश, नो डाउट, नॉट लाइक अस। आप जो चीज उनको बोलो जी ये मिलेगा, बिल्कुल मिलेगा, एंड दे गो टू दरीबा, सपोज वहाँ पे किनारे बाजार 8 रुपए का मिलेगा, वहाँ पे 80 रुपए का उसमें कहेंगे ये दे दो, सो नाइस, सो कलर लाइक दिस। तो मेरी आपसे ये रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप कोई भी चीज से पहले देखो, मार्केट के अंदर प्राइस इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अगर थोड़ी भी चीज आपकी महंगी होगी तो कोई भी गोरा जो 10,000 पीस खरीदेगा वो प्राइस नहीं देगा। So you have to be very careful about the prices and the designs। तो ठीक है, बायर्स आते हैं, हमारे फेयर में भी आते हैं, अभी जैसे नेक्स्ट मंथ शो हो रहा है बहुत बड़ा, तो उसमें भी वही पूछने के व्हाट इज न्यू, व्हाट्स योर प्राइस, या तो प्राइस ले लेके घूमते रहते हैं, किसी को 100,000 पीसेस चाहिए, मतलब आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट क्वांटिटीज, एक्सपोर्ट के अंदर क्वांटिटी चलती है और प्राइसेस भी चलते हैं। जैसे ये अभी 2 दिन पहले मेरी बात हो रही थी सागर जी से, ये पेरिस फेयर में गए हुए थे, वहीं से आए हैं, इन्होंने अपनी आपके मैंने पूछा भी हाउ वाज द फेयर, ये कहते हैं कि नहीं अच्छा फेयर था, थोड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी एंड इट कॉस्ट ए लॉट ऑफ मनी। ये 20-1 लाख रुपए खर्चा है एक हफ्ते में वहाँ पे। To be very frank, and same चिंटू जी बड़े एक्सपर्ट हैं शुरू से ज्वेलरी वगैरह में ये करते हैं, तो मैं इनसे रिक्वेस्ट करा थोड़ा सा अपना एक्सपीरियंस ये दोनों दें कि क्योंकि मुझे यहाँ पे काफ़ी नए चेहरे नज़र आ रहे हैं अभी, कुछ अच्छी तरह जानते भी हैं जिनके सेकंड जनरेशन के सामने बैठे हैं, जो उनके फादर साहब यही करते थे तो इनकी अपनी बेटी भी यही करती है, मैडम नबूर मैडम है, ये भी काफ़ी एक्सपर्ट हैं। तो ठीक है, बच्चों के लिए अगर हम चाहते हैं कि हमारी नई जनरेशन जो आगे वाली है वो अच्छी तरह से काम करे, दिल से काम करे, और हमारे से जितनी भी आपकी हम कोऑपरेट या जितना भी कर सकते हैं हम बिल्कुल करेंगे, एंड आवर लाइफ तक करेंगे। थैंक यू सो मच।
I mean twice a week we used to be there। और कहीं ना कहीं क्राफ्टमैनशिप इस सब चीज़ों से अच्छा कोरिलेट करते थे। आई थिंक आई हैव रियली लर्नड अ न्यू थिंग टुडे दैट वी आई रियली नीड टू गो बैक। मतलब अब क्या होता है 6-6 महीने हो जाते हैं, नेवर गेट एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू, बट जैसे मैम बता रही थी कुछ स्टोरी से नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, वैसे मत डॉज करो। मेरे ना अभी साथ में चिंटू भाई बैठा हुआ था, अभी बता रहा था, मैं वैसे सीख रहा था, तो ही वाज टेलिंग मी कि अब जो नेक्स्ट आ रहे हैं ना वो नेकलेसेस आ रहे हैं। मैंने कहा आराम से सुनता रहूं, आई एम श्योर यू मस्ट हैव सम गुड आइडियाज टू शेयर विद मी। ही वाज टेलिंग मी कि दिल्ली की ज्वेलरी वापस आ रही है, तो मैंने कहा दिल्ली की ज्वेलरी वापस आ रही है इसका मतलब ज्वेलरी ट्रेंड इज बैक, बिकॉज हमारा क्या बिकता था वो बीडिंग करके बस वो सीख कर ही जाना है ना, कुछ ना कुछ सबसे सीखते चले जा रहे हैं। दैट्स व्हाट वी नीड टू So, but I think somewhere the trend in future is gonna be Indian. It's just that we need to get it well. I mean, ma'am was very right that we need to have a story behind everything. We are missing on our basic things and we are trying to copy what Chinese people are doing. We need to understand our strengths. I mean, for that we need to go to places like Jama Masjid, Turpan, because there we see what is the craftsmanship of India and we get a lot of ideas. So I think the trend has somewhere started. और चिंटू भाई ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया नेकलेसेस आ रहे हैं, फिर ब्रेसलेट्स आएंगे, फिर क्या आएंगे, फिर लास्ट में इयरिंग्स आएंगे. तो इस बार मैं तो अपनी एग्जीबिशन के अंदर आई एम गोना रिड्यूस इयरिंग एंड आई थिंक द ट्रेंड इज गोना बी इंडियन. प्लीज ऑल द बेस्ट एवरीवन.
आई थिंक आपने बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि आप वापस तुर्कमान गेट जाएंगे. आई कैन नॉट टेल यू हाउ मेनी टॉप डिजाइनर्स इन द कंट्री आई हैव टेकन टू किनारी बाजार, क्योंकि अकेले वो जा नहीं, अब इतने बड़े हो जाते हैं वो लोग जा नहीं सकते हैं. तो हमारे साथ क्योंकि फिर भी हमारे स्टूडेंट्स रहे हुए होते हैं, तो वो कहते हैं मैम एक बार आप चलोगे हमारे साथ किनारी बाजार, एंड दे वांट टू गो एंड सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग देयर, बिकॉज दैट इज वेयर द न्यू टाइप ऑफ जरदोजी मटेरियल or the new beads that are in the market, yeah, how people are making tassels for lehengas, all of that is being, so much creativity is there, whether it is coming from Surat or from Amritsar or from Jaipur, all the creativity you can see if you go for one day trip to Kinari Bazaar. So I would recommend maybe you should make teams and really go and visit over there. हम तो अपने students को, I've been a teacher all my life, and few of my students are in this room who are doing so well, so I'm so proud of that fact. But it is so amazing that when we send them to these markets and when we send them to craft clusters, their eyes open, all of this trend boards and everything that becomes secondary, and feeling the material and working with the artisans, they really learn so much and they can then create so many new things. I think that's something very valuable.
That whatever they are telling is to mix the international trend with our craft. Actually, the Chandni Chowk and the Sadar Bazaar and the Turpan Gate, we generally go to source the raw materials or some supplier. Actually, creative work we have to do ourselves, and the skilling part also we have to pick craftsmen from different village, sector, or new talents. We have to look for that. Actually, we have to really give some luxury part, like सोने की चिड़िया जो हमारी हिंदुस्तान कहलाता था, है भी, वो हमें प्रूव करना है कि ये कहलाता है. Actually, the world is looking towards us for the luxury products. Actually, something extraordinary. What not exactly everybody is producing. Everybody here thinks China is producing, we are copying. We should not do that. We should look from our heritage, different crafts, the different crafts which are dying. We have to recreate it, considering the different trends. That is, they are showing just a little image of the ऐसा कुछ will be in trend, and how we can make it new, freshness, creativity like design. It means something fresh, something new, something enlightening. When I say, oh wow, this is nice, something, that kind of feeling should be there. It's not like combining different shapes, अभी थोड़ा छोटा कर दिया, थोड़ा बड़ा कर दिया. It's nothing like that. So we should. It's about fineness, details. And it's like lots of efforts and all that playfulness they're taking. Designing itself is playfulness, actually.
If you love designing, you can design.
Yeah, designing is not a playfulness. It's not copying. Copying is not a designing, actually. Designing is understanding. Yeah, expression of everything. Something new, something enlightening, and something like some style, new style statement, something new, something refreshing. So we have to actually put into the different points the government is putting in the skilling. We have to take things from there.
Thank you so much.
Not actually
And
copying.
लास्ट में मैं भी थोड़ा, क्योंकि मैम ने कई चीज़ें बोली, ये कहना चाहूँगा, एक्सपोर्ट्स है, एक्सपोर्ट के अंदर अगर आपके अच्छे बायर हैं, अच्छे इन द सेंस कि कई बायर होते हैं कि उनको ABCD A to Z तक चीज़ें चाहिए होती हैं, तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि जयपुर से क्या मिलता है, पुष्कर से क्या मिलता है, साउथ इंडिया से क्या मिलता है, और उसको मैंने ऐसे बड़े बायर्स के साथ काम किया है 30-40 ईयर्स ऑलमोस्ट। तो मैंने एक बार उसको बोला, बर्ट यू आर नॉट ए बायर, यू आर ए कबाड़िया। या तो मैं अपनी कंपनी का नाम लिख दूँ कबाड़ी एक्सपोर्ट, कहता व्हाट इज कबाड़ी, मैं कहता इट्स जंक, ये सुबह जो बोलते हैं गली के अंदर। तो ही वाज सो हैप्पी, कहता बी कबाड़िया। मगर उसके वर्ड्स भी ठीक थे। अगर हमने दोनों ने इतना काम किया कि आप किसी बाइंग हाउस या बाइंग एजेंट्स के साथ वो काम नहीं कर सकते। कौन बंदा लाता है 100 करोड़ की एक्सपोर्ट कर दे, नहीं हो सकती लाइफ के अंदर, बिकॉज ऑफ कबाड़िया। क्योंकि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ये एक्सपोर्ट है, आप हर एक चीज़ के मैन्युफैक्चर नहीं हो सकते। कोई ज्वेलरी मांगता है, कोई गारमेंट्स मांगता है, कोई बैग्स मांगता है, और कोई कुछ और चीज़ें, आपको तरह तरह की चीज़ें ऐसी मिलेंगी जिनके अंदर आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि सदर बाजार में मिलती है या कहाँ पे मिलती है, कंट्री के अंदर या यूपी के अंदर मिलती है, संबल मिलती है। यू हैव टू बी, और उसके लिए थोड़ा सा यंग हो, अभी भागो जितना भाग सकते हो। उसके बाद 40 ईयर्स में ठीक है, जो आएगा 4 बंदे ऐड होंगे, जी यू नीड दिस, ओके नो प्रॉब्लम। क्योंकि कई बार हमारे बड़े कहते हैं कि इंडियन किसी से भी एक्सपोर्टर से पूछो, वो कहता है नो प्रॉब्लम, तेरे पास ये है, नो प्रॉब्लम, कहता है सो दिस इज व्हाट आई नीड। ऐसे तो अगर हम आपको अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताएंगे, मे बी कई बार हवन होता है 7 दिन का भी होता है, कई बार 7 घंटे का, कई बार 10 मिनट का भी होता है। सो थैंक यू सो मच, धीरे धीरे आपको सारी चीज़ें बताएंगे। थैंक्स।
Exercise that we had was from the trends that Yukti presented. How would you create your own story? So we've got some printouts for you, so you can cut, paste and create your own mood board and take it forward as a story. So we'll just hand it out to you.
It was a program where we had to conceptualize a diagram. So जो भी अभी हेमा ने बोला है, you know, basically you have to follow trends. I completely agree. But if you follow trends, you have to put a handwriting to it, because अगर आप वो trends follow कर रहे हो और कुछ बना रहे हो जो जापान में बिकता है वो अमेरिका में नहीं बिकता, लेकिन जो अमेरिका में बिकता है वो यूरोप में नहीं बिकेगा। So it's not that if you follow trends, and she said that lilac बिक रहा है तो आप lilac की अड्डे का काम करके, फूल का काम करके ये बना रहे हैं, because जापान नहीं खरीदेगा। But then vis-a-vis, if you want to follow lilac and you want to do something in Japan, maybe आप एक simple आरी का काम करें, something that's very muted. So what we did in Bhopal was that Bhopali Bandwa as a product is done, because the craft is not there. People are just not willing to pay a lot for a bag, because a Bhopali Bandwa can cost you between 50,000 to 60,000. So what we did was we went to the artisans straight we went to the grassroots level where we worked with the artisans. हमने like suppose अगर आधे मीटर में इतनी जरदोजी है वो of course 20,000 किलो, and then we know that my buyer is not going to give me anything more than a $10. So what we do is, as a design label, my label is called Ananya, हम एक टेक्निक ऑफ स्टिच को उठा के उसको आधे मीटर में ना करके बस 1 सेंटीमीटर कर देते हैं। So what happens? The technique of Zardoli remains the same, but it becomes very commercially viable for a buyer to come and buy. But for that to make it commercially viable, we have to follow the trends with the country we are working in as exporters, with the kind of price bracket that we do. So I think it's everything together. और जो हमने भोपाली बच्चों के साथ किया था, हमने स्पेन की कंट्री में एक है ओलिविया डार करके, she's a designer that sells into sacks and burlap and parrots and all that. हमने उसके मोटिव्स को उठा के जरदोजी एम्ब्रॉयडरी करके एक रेंज ऑफ बैग्स एंड ज्वेलरी बनाई थी, which have been taken well by the market. So that's what we did.
इंस्टेंस मेरे लिए प्लेफुल माइट बी फ्रिंजेस जो इसमें लगे हुए, बिकॉज आई कैन प्ले विद कैपिटलिटी है उसके अंदर, फॉर के है, तो वैसे आप अपना स्टोरी बोर्ड बना सकते हो।
And now you've created more stories, so it'll be lovely to hear from each one of you. Just 2 minutes of the board that you created. Yes? Can we start, please? So I'll request the group right here next to me to start. They are showing what they have come up, the stories that they have come up with. Why don't you show your board?
Okay, first I'm Astha. I'm from Jaipur. The company name is Gossel.
Can I request you to take the
So my name is Astha. I'm from Jaipur. Gossel Exports Private Limited. It's an export company, jewelry export company. So we are 4 in our group: Ritika, Rakhi, and Deepti, and me, Astha. तो हमने जो मूड बोर्ड क्रिएट किया है दैट इज, तो हमारा जो थीम है वो है DIY। तो इसमें जो अगर आप देख रहे हैं इसका जो रेफरेंस है वो ये है, जिसमें हमने प्लेफुलनेस दिखाया है एंड मॉडर्निटी दिखाया है। एंड दिस इज द रेजिस्ट टेक्सचर जो होता है। तो रिसाइकल हमारा कीवर्ड्स है। हमने जो कीवर्ड्स यूज किए हैं दैट इज पैटर्न्स, सस्टेनेबिलिटी, इनोवेशन, ट्रेंडी, जेंजी, प्लेफुल एंड रेजिस्ट। तो ये हमारा टेक्सचर का है। मेटल हमारा गोल्ड प्रेशियस में होगा और रेजिस्ट हमने टेक्सचर दिया है। तो ये हमने इनोवेशन डिज़ाइन के हिसाब से दिखाया है। और ये कुछ है लेफ्ट ओवर से बने हुए डिज़ाइन, दैट इज इनोवेट किए हुए DIY टाइप डिज़ाइन। दैट्स इट। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।
Do please.
Hi, I'm Meenakshi Rajput from Glad We Have Running, and 3 of us we team members. And this is. Thank you so much. कुछ ज़्यादा हमने नहीं किया, जो भी given time so we just did it. Our theme is playful and we inspired by the rainbow. Rainbow में जो कलर्स होते हैं वो हमने यूज़ किया है, जो इसमें जो हम and same goes with this also. थोड़ा सा रेन ड्रॉप्स भी हमने लिया है इसमें एज अ पर्ल्स, and you can see the precious and non-precious. That's it.
Rainbow because very season also.
That's why hi everyone. My name is Sanjay Nanda. I represent a company called Ritu Arts. At my age, love is very important.
They add every age, sir.
Sorry, I forgot to add sublime love. दूसरे लव के तो पता नहीं, हम नहीं आएगा, रुबिक लगाना मजा नहीं आता मुझे। मैम talked about so many different kinds of love. I think love is best expressed in white color, so I use the white color in combination with black and gold. And this is something that one can use with all kind of colorful. This thing is. Sometimes people are very particular with the budget about spending for their ornaments. So this color goes with all kind of colorful dresses that they may have. With black and white obviously. And of course it's the best expression. Thank you.
Thank you.
ये मेरा नाम कुलदीप शर्मा है और मैंने जो थीम दिया है बेसिकली ये ऊपर तो क्लासी थीम है और इसमें हार्ट शेप और डिफरेंट जैली भी है और यू कैन सी डिफरेंट कलर्स एंड दे आर वेरी अट्रैक्टिव टू फाइंड very good buyers in the field of glass. और इधर है नॉन प्रेशस और सेमी प्रेशस ज्वेलरी और ये ज्वेलरी बहुत अट्रैक्टिव है। आप देख सकते हैं कितने अच्छे इसमें नेकलेसेस बने हैं इन डिफरेंट डिज़ाइंस एंड डिफरेंट कलर्स। तो ये मेरा एक थीम था छोटा सा।
And I'm the third generation. My grandfather started it. What we've done is that we've shown what how we started, what materials we used to use, and where is it that we feel that it's going to go, and what all is trending these days. It was like glass, some cloth, bangles. Then when my mother came into business, it was semi-precious stones and chains, and now we feel that more of wood, natural stuff, pearls, that's going to come in. Thank you.
And we are a team of 3 from Asian Handicrafts, Gurugram, and our theme is Playful Love. So we are emphasizing on playfulness of love. We don't go in foundations. It's about freedom, self-love, and Gen Z believes in classic colors such as white and black, but we like to explore vibrant colors such as these. Love cannot be shaped or named. It can be anything you want it to be. Thank you.
Strawberry. So the story is about random access memories, and apparently I couldn't find anyone, so I did it by myself. So the thing is, we are looking at everything with a different perspective. Over here, this was one complete earring, which I divided into like it was a different earring in the shape of a cuboid, and I have named it as in a falling cube, and I have restructured it in a different way. And that is all.
So basically मैंने बनाया है जो हम डेली पहनते हैं और जो हमारे बजट में आता है. So it's just like wood, shade and fabric, because आजकल हमारे बजट में फैब्रिक वाला ही आएगा. फैब्रिक टसल इज वेरी लाइक पुट इट ऑन फिश हुक एंड मेक अ टसल इयरिंग, वो हमारे बजट के अंदर है. इट्स जस्ट लाइक मेक अ थीम विद दैट एंड आई जस्ट क्रिएट अ इंस्पिरेशन व्हाट लव व्हाट वी वियर डेली. सो जस्ट लाइक दैट. थैंक यू.
फ्रॉम इंटरनेशनल से आ रहा हूँ. मैंने कोई थीम नहीं बनाया, मैंने एक स्टोरी बनाया. मैं एक्चुअली उड़ीसा से आता हूँ और ये जो उड़ीसा से जो मैंने बनाया वही तो बनाया. आप सभी लोगों ने वास्को डी गामा या कोलंबस जानते होंगे, लेकिन वहाँ के जो 6th सेंचुरी में जो लड़के थे वो इसी तरह जहाज से एक्सपोर्ट करते थे. जो ओल्डेस्ट एक्सपोर्टर होते थे वहाँ पे, इसी से वो जाते थे हवा से. और यहाँ पे बहुत पुराने जेमस्टोन, टेक्सटाइल और ऑर्नामेंट्स, ब्रॉन्ज आइटम सब एक्सपोर्ट होता था. और इसी टाइप का एक बोट जिसको कहते हैं बोई तो कहते हैं, इंग्लिश में उसको बोट कहते हैं, इसी से हम एक्सपोर्ट करते थे सर. और इसके नीचे जो दिया गया कोणार्क चक्र जो है वो उसी जब टाइम पे बना हुआ कोणार्क मंदिर, जो G20 से प्रधानमंत्री यहीं पे सबको खड़े होके कंग्रेचुलेशन किए थे.
आई एम सरप्राइज्ड. बहुत ही अच्छी स्टोरीज निकल के आई हैं. मुझे नहीं लग रहा था कि सब लोग इतने, कुछ लोगों ने इंडिविजुअली भी किया, ग्रुप्स में भी किया. शायद आप लोग एक दूसरे को जानते हैं, कुछ नहीं जानते हैं, बट वेरी नाइस process of building stories and mood boards after such a short interaction, and I'm sure many of you have never worked on such an exercise. So thank you all for participating so much, and I would like to now request as UA members to thank Hema and Yukti for giving this presentation. I thought this is very important for us to have people like this. Thank you so much. Thank you.